Hey friends, welcome to the channel. Today I'm excited to share with you the best free language learning app out there, Language Transfer. It's an amazing tool that will save you a ton of time on your language learning journey. Los geht's! My name is Dustin, I'm an IT project manager from Germany. On this channel we create content that helps us to be more productive, to learn new things, especially languages, and to live a happier and more fulfilling life. For that I will give first an introduction which place language transfer can take in your language learning, and then explain how it works and what the underlying principles are. I will also explain where you can get it and which languages are available. After that we will do a lesson of Spanish live together. Let's dive into today's... wait. First, a nice sip of coffee. Let's dive into today's topic. As you know, I'm always advocating for seeing language learning as a marathon, not a sprint, and that the major part of our learning should come from immersing and assimilating the language by consuming massive amounts of comprehensible and compelling input. While comprehensible means that it's at the right level for you, that you can understand it, compelling means that it's interesting for you in specific, because we need to be able to stay motivated over the long run. But there are some ways to speed things up and to also help you with the language output. So to produce the language, we can take what we know and use logic to build words and phrases in our target language. And exactly this does Language Transfer. Language Transfer is an audio course, but also available as an app. It's completely for free, so not only it doesn't cost a dime, but it's also free of advertisements and you don't even need to create an account somewhere. So your data is yours. Of course, you can support the project if you found it useful by becoming part of the Patreon community. The teaching approach used by Language Transfer is based on a set of principles that are designed to help learners develop a deep understanding of the language they are studying. These principles include: first, we start from zero. The courses are made in a way that they don't expect the learner to know anything up front. We start from zero and we don't have to understand complex grammar structures by dissecting it and identifying verbs or nouns or whatever. The only thing we bring with us are our skills to speak and understand English, or in one case Spanish. That's it, and from there we go. Second, building an intuitive understanding. Language Transfer emphasizes building an intuitive understanding of the language rather than memorizing vocabulary lists or grammar rules. By focusing on the patterns and structures of the language, learners are able to quickly and effectively internalize the language and begin using it in context by drawing from what we already know speaking English. You start with simple two-word phrases and then build up more complex structures and tenses. You dissect the language and never overload your mental capacity. It's not too easy and not too hard, which allows you to focus fully on it and to get into a flow state. I sometimes wonder how much time has passed when I'm using it. And then third, active engagement. The language transfer courses are designed to encourage active engagement with the language rather than passive listening or reading. Learners are encouraged to participate in the lessons by not just following along, but by producing language right from the start. Next one, emphasizing patterns. The courses focus on the underlying patterns and structures of the language rather than individual words or phrases. And this approach helps learners to understand the language at a deeper level and to apply the knowledge in a variety of contexts. 5. Repetition. Repetition is a key component of the language transfer approach. Throughout the course, without really noticing it, we practice the underlying pattern and words again and again in order to reinforce the understanding and to build our language skills over time. Then, spoken language. The language transfer courses focus on spoken language rather than written language. And this approach helps learners to develop their listening and speaking skills, which are essential for effective communication in the target language. Overall, the language transfer approach is designed to be engaging, effective, and accessible to learners of all levels. By focusing on the patterns and structures of the language without overloading the learner, learners are able to quickly develop a deep understanding of the language and begin using it in context. If you are interested in learning more, there's also a guidebook that explains how those courses get created and how you can do too. Further, it gives you a nice introduction into language in general, and it's also a really interesting read. There are some courses that are complete and some only as an introduction course. All are great, but the complete ones are of course more extensive, as the name already suggests. Let me quote the official language transfer guidebook here. In a complete course, we aim to teach every structure that might arise in the spoken target language. This doesn't necessarily mean that we visit the structure directly, only that we need to have covered everything necessary so that the learner can arrive at any sentence themselves. Vocabulary permitting, of course, even if we haven't addressed a directly comparable sentence in the course. Also, all the courses except of one are from English to the target language. Complete courses available are Spanish, German, Greek, and Swahili. So 4 complete courses. And introduction courses available are Arabic, Turkish, Italian, French, English from Spanish. So that's the only exception. So you learn English from Spanish. I wonder if it's a good idea to use that to also improve Spanish if you are not a native speaker of Spanish. That might be something. And then there's also a new course about music theory, which is not language learning related, but seems also to be really interesting. We'll definitely do it at some point in the future. The audio courses can be accessed via app for Apple or Android devices that you can freely download in the App Store. You can also listen to them using SoundCloud or YouTube, for example. Now let's do a session together. So I've opened the app here. And yeah, let's see. So this is the starting screen. You see all the different courses. On top, the newest one, which is about music theory. And down there, all the language courses, intros and also complete courses. So let's click on Spanish. You see already lesson 8. That's where I've stopped, and it's also saving your progress, which is really, really helpful. You have all the lessons here. You can also download them one by one, and they are not excessively large, which is also pretty cool. And here you can see also that you can delete all the data once you don't need it anymore. And yeah, without further ado, I would say let's dive into the lesson and yeah, do it together. So make it loud, okay.
What was again the word then for it, or for him, or for you formal?
Lo.
Sorry, okay, so she answered, I was too slow. It, formal, lo. Okay, let's proceed.
Lo. If we make this feminine, so we change the o to an a, and we're going to see other examples of this way of making something feminine in Spanish, we get la, and this means her, it, a feminine thing. So objects as well. Well, not objects. Objects don't have gender. When people speak about languages that have gender, they tend to think that the object has the gender, but it's not the object, it's the word. You might have 2 words for the same object, and one might be masculine and one might be feminine. So it's the word. A feminine word, for example, usually are ones that end in a. So like casa, house. If you want to say, I want to see it, and with this it, you mean the house. What do you think you will say? I want to see it.
Okay, I want to see it. Quiero verlo. Quiero verlo.
Quiero verla.
Good. Quiero verla.
Quiero verla. Okay, if it's feminine. If it's masculine, then it would be verlo. And this is how you do it. So he says something, you try to translate it, then you wait for the response. So
now, what else could that sentence mean? Other than I want to see it, the feminine thing, what else could it mean?
Oh.
What else could it mean? Could also be a person, I think.
It could also mean I want to see her.
Yes, exactly. So we get quite a few meanings just with this little lo and adding an s to it or changing the o to an a. We actually get a lot of options. La could mean her, and it also could mean you formal talking to a female. So you could be saying, I want to see you formally. Now, where you use the formal language and the informal language really depends on the dialect. So the safe way is to go in with the formal and to see what happens and to see how people address you and see how people address each other in this context, and you can adjust accordingly. For example, in Spain, when you meet somebody, when you go into a shop, when you meet somebody for the first time, with the exception of kind of young peers, the common thing is to begin speaking formally. If I compare this to Buenos Aires, for example, in Argentina, it's almost never used, this formal way of addressing people. In fact, it's used more often to insult somebody with an extra layer of sarcasm or irony, let's say, than it's actually used sincerely to be formal. So it really depends on the place you want to go and see. But to play safe, you can use the formal, which would be lo or la, speaking to a male or to a female, lo and la, instead of te. Quiere means he wants, she wants, it wants, or you formal want. We can see that these four, they band together, not just in words like lo and la, but in the verbs as well. We saw it with es, that es means it is, she is, he is, you formal are. So they will band together. Quiere means he wants, she wants, it wants, you formal want. So, how would you say you want to visit me?
Okay, you want to visit me. Formal. Quiere visitarme. Quiere visitarme.
Quiere visitarme.
Good. Quiere visitarme. You want to visit me. Now, if you want to make that a question, in English, we put do you want? But in Spanish, you won't do anything like that. In Spanish, you will just make it sound like a question with your voice. So, how would you say, do you want to visit me?
Do you want to visit me? Quiere visitarme, no?
Quiere visitarme.
Good. Quiere visitarme. How would you say you don't want to visit me?
No quiere visitarme?
No quiere visitarme.
Oh, you sounded very sad when you said that. No quiere visitarme. Now, if you want to say, don't you want to visit me? Again, English gets really complicated there, but not Spanish. So, don't you want to visit me?
No quiere visitarme?
No quiere visitarme.
Good. No quiere visitarme. You could add the word for why. The word for why is por qué. Por qué.
¿Por qué?
It's actually the word for because as well. So, why don't you want to visit me?
¿Por qué no quiere visitarme?
¿Por qué no quiere visitarme?
Good. ¿Por qué no quiere visitarme? The verb for to come is venir.
Venir.
So, of course, you could hear the, like I just pronounced for you, so you would get the spelling venir, but more commonly you would hear venir, venir, like a soft B. Firstly, let's say, do you want to come?
Do you want to come? ¿Quiere venir? ¿Quiere venir?
Quiere venir.
Good. Quiere venir. A nice way to remember venir, actually, is conveniente, convenient, with coming, when things come together. Or if you ever heard welcome in Spanish, you might have heard bienvenido, or bienvenida, bienvenidos, bienvenidas. Literally the same as welcome. Well is bien, and come, there we have a venido. It's a different version of venir. So, venir, to come. If you want to say the house, it's la casa.
La casa.
La casa.
What was to?
To is a.
Ah,
What is to the house?
A la casa.
a la casa.
Good. Do you want to come to the house?
Do you want to come to the house? ¿Quiere venir a la casa?
Quiere venir a la casa.
Good. How would you say, do you want to come to visit me?
¿Quiere venir a visitarme?
Do you want to come to visit me?
Quiere venir a visitarme.
Good. Don't you want to come to visit me?
¿No quiere venir a visitarme?
No quiere venir a visitarme.
Good. No quiere venir a visitarme. What was the word for why?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
Good. Why don't you want to come to visit me?
¿Por qué no quiere venir a visitarme?
¿Por qué no quiere venir a visitarme?
Very good. ¿Por qué no quiere venir a visitarme? Good. And of course here we're using a because we have venir, a verb of coming and going, like boy, boy a, venir a, when we're connecting to a to form. The word for I owe in Spanish is debo, debo,
Debo.
debo. The English word debt, which is spelled D-E-B-T, has this B from debo. It comes from there. We don't pronounce it in English, of course, but this word is from Latin, and debo is I owe. The useful thing about I owe is that you can use it like I must. So if you want to say I must continue, you say I owe to continue. I owe to continue, and that's the meaning of I must continue. So how would you say that? I must continue.
Debo continuar.
Debo continuar.
Good. How would you say I must identify it?
Debo identificarlo.
Debo identify. Identification.
Good.
Identificación.
Very good.
Identificar.
Very good.
So it's debo identificarlo.
Good.
And now she did what we have learned earlier. So all the words ending with ion in English, like identification, you can just transform into Spanish. So it's identification is identificación. And then you can build the verb from it. So you take the ion away and you like identificar is then the verb. And this way you can come up with the words. So yeah.
Debo identificarlo. I must or I owe to identify them. I must identify them.
Debo identificar la.
Debo identificarlos.
Good. Debo identificarlos.
Yeah, of course it's plural. Debo identificarlos. Yeah, sure, makes sense.
What if they were feminine things? What change do you think you would see?
Debo identificarla.
Las.
Good.
Debo identificarlas.
Good.
Of course, plural, again, an S at the end. That's it. And this way you progress through the language. And yeah, I just love it. In conclusion, language transfer is an amazing language learning tool that can help you learn a new language quickly and effectively. The creator Michalis has done an incredible job in developing this program and making it available for free to everyone. And I'm so thankful for his efforts and the impact he has had on my language learning journey. If you found language transfer helpful, I encourage you to consider becoming a Patreon supporter to help fund his future projects and to ensure that the existing courses can be maintained. Please let me know in the comments what you think of language transfer and if you have already tried it out or if you want to do it going forward. For which language would you like to have another course which isn't covered yet? And since you've watched this video, I'm sure you are also interested in another video that I've made about other free language learning apps. Further, if you found the video useful, please leave me a like and a subscription to the channel, and to not miss anything going forward, click also on the notification bell. Thank you very much for watching and see you the next time.